For years, many of us were told that, after a certain age, vaccines don't matter much, that the window for protection closes when youth fades. The truth is more empowering. Our bodies retain an extraordinary capacity to respond, adapt, and protect, even in our 70s and beyond, when we give them the right prompts at the right time. This episode is your essential map, a calm, evidence-informed guide to vaccines after 70, what's needed for most people, what usually isn't, and how to personalize a simple plan that supports your vitality, independence, and peace of mind. No fear tactics, no overwhelm, just clarity you can act on. Let's begin by naming the purpose outright. We're going to translate complex immunization charts into a realistic, one-page plan you can carry in your wallet or phone. You'll hear exactly which vaccines typically deliver the biggest benefits for people in their 70s. How to schedule them without cluttering your calendar. How to combine appointments wisely. What typical, short-lived reactions to expect. And how to talk with your clinician so your choices reflect your health goals. The goal is power through understanding. By the end, I want you to hold one simple sentence in your mind. I guide my own care with clear information. First, the real-world problem. By the time we reach 70, many of us have a memory box full of, I think I got that shot, maybe 5 years ago? Vaccine names change, new versions appear, recommendations are updated. Some friends swear by a shot they got at a pharmacy, while others say they skipped it and felt fine. Add a few confusing headlines, and it's easy to delay decisions. Yet here's what delay can cost: a preventable infection that triggers a cascade. Fatigue, dehydration, balance problems, a fall, a hospital stay, weeks of lost muscle, and a slower return to your favorite routines. Prevention isn't just about avoiding illness. It's about protecting mobility, cognition, confidence, and connection. That's why we're here. Now, the solution framework I call Smart Vaccine Habits. It has 5 pillars: prioritize, calendarize, combine safely, document, and communicate. Prioritize means you don't chase every possible shot. You choose the few with the strongest, age-relevant benefits. Calendarize means you place them on your schedule at sensible times and stop thinking about them daily. Combine safely means you stack eligible vaccines into the fewest visits when that makes sense for you. Document means you keep a single, clean record you and your clinician can trust. Communicate means you revisit the plan when your health or travel changes. With that frame set, let's walk through the vaccines most people over 70 should actively consider, why they matter, and how to fit them into your year. Start with the seasonal heavy hitter, influenza. Past 65, the immune system's response can be slower, so the versions designed specifically for older adults are preferred. High-dose inactivated, adjuvanted inactivated, or recombinant. These formulations boost the response in people 65 and over and are recommended preferentially when available. If the preferred type isn't on hand the day you go, it's better to take an age-appropriate alternative than to put it off for weeks. Aim for 1 dose each season, ideally early in your region's campaign, and put it on a repeating date in your calendar. Think of it as preventative maintenance before the respiratory season begins. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about stacking the odds toward fewer fevers, fewer complications, and more steady weeks of energy. Next, protect your lungs from a different threat: pneumococcal disease. You'll hear confusing alphabet soup: PCV15, PCV20, PCV21. But here's the clean version for adults who haven't had a modern pneumococcal conjugate shot. A single dose of a broad-spectrum conjugate vaccine is now an easy, guideline-supported path for older adults. If PCV15 is used, it's followed later by a dose of PPSV23. If PCV20 or PCV21 is used, a single dose often completes the job for many people. If you had older versions years ago, your clinician can check whether a new conjugate dose is recommended, typically with consideration of a 5-year gap. The larger point, this family of vaccines reduces the risk of severe pneumococcal infections that can drive hospitalizations and prolonged recovery in older age. When you book this, ask directly for the simplest, up-to-date option that fits your history, one and done, if appropriate. Now, a quiet saboteur of comfort and sleep, shingles or herpes zoster. The recombinant shingles vaccine is a 2-dose series, spaced 2 to 6 months apart, and it's recommended starting at age 50. In your 70s, the benefit is crystal clear. Fewer painful reactivations and a much lower chance of long-lasting nerve pain that can disturb walking, resting, and mood. You don't need a blood test to see if you had chickenpox, and prior shingles doesn't disqualify you. Many still benefit. Book the first dose now and immediately set a reminder for the second dose in 2 to 6 months so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of life. Let's turn to a classic that's easy to forget until you're gardening with a thorn or fixing something in the garage: tetanus plus diphtheria and pertussis. Every adult should receive at least 1 Tdap dose in adulthood to refresh protection against whooping cough, and afterward get a TD or Tdap booster every 10 years. If you sustain a dirty or deep wound and it's been more than 5 years since your last booster, a clinician may advise an earlier booster for extra safety. This is a simple, low-maintenance habit. Check when you last had Tdap or TD, record the date, and set a decade-ahead reminder. If you can't recall ever getting Tdap as an adult, get that one, and then keep the every 10 years rhythm. There's a newer conversation many people over 70 haven't had yet: RSV, the respiratory syncytial virus. For years we thought of RSV as a pediatric concern, but in older adults it can lead to significant illness. Current guidance is straightforward. A single dose in adulthood is recommended for everyone 75 and older, and also for adults 50 to 74 who have higher risk due to chronic conditions or living situations such as nursing homes. This is a one-time decision for most, no annual series to track, and it adds a protective layer for a virus that increasingly shows up in winter headlines. Ask your clinician about your personal risk profile and whether now is the right moment for you. Now, let's address the question everyone asks: what about COVID-19? The answer has become less one-size-fits-all and more personalized. Updated COVID vaccines are available each season. Public guidance currently frames vaccination as an individual decision made with your trusted clinician or pharmacist, while still emphasizing that older adults are the group most likely to benefit, including the option for additional doses in certain situations such as age 65 plus or immunocompromising conditions. If you're 70 or older, talk through timing with your clinician, especially if you're planning travel, live in a setting with many close contacts, or have chronic conditions where even a moderate illness could set back your stamina. The practical takeaway: consider a seasonal dose to keep your protection current, and revisit the plan if your health changes. So far, we've covered the core 5 that most people in their 70s should at least consider. Influenza annually. Pneumococcal conjugate as indicated. Shingles in 2 doses. Tdap/Tdap boosters on a decade cycle, and a single dose RSV if you qualify by age or risk. For many healthy adults, these 5 pillars carry the majority of benefit with the least complication. But you might also encounter a few conditional vaccines where the value depends on your history, lifestyle, and travel. Let's make those easy too. Hepatitis B is an example. Universal vaccination is recommended for adults under 60. For those 60 and over, it's recommended if you have risk factors, and it can be considered even without clear risk if you and your clinician decide it fits your situation. If you're caring for someone with chronic hepatitis B, if you have diabetes, if you're receiving certain medical treatments, or if your lifestyle puts you at exposure risk, ask about a Hep B series. If not, this may be something you skip. The key is that you're not guessing, you're deciding. What about measles, mumps, and rubella, the MMR you remember from childhood? If you were born before the late 1950s, you were often considered immune to measles through natural exposure, and many over 70 don't need MMR boosters. But if you're traveling internationally, entering certain communal living situations, or your records are missing and there's an outbreak nearby, your clinician may advise a dose. This is rare, but sensible to clarify once and then move on. Varicella, the chickenpox vaccine, is typically not needed for those born before 1980 in the United States, since natural infection was common. The shingles vaccine we already covered is a different product with a different purpose. Unless you immigrated from a country with different epidemiology or have unique health circumstances, you usually don't chase a varicella shot in your 70s. Clarify this once, write it down, and set it aside. Meningococcal, Hib, Mpox, or other niche vaccines are generally need-based. If you're planning specific travel, living in a community with an outbreak, or starting a medical therapy that changes your immune status, these may appear on your radar. Think of them as special mission vaccines. You don't collect them just to collect them. You match them to a clear reason, then file the decision. Now that we've sorted the landscape, let's build your simple plan. Keep it on a single sheet titled, My Vaccine Plan, 70s. At the top, list the 5 pillars with dates and next steps. Influenza. 1 dose annually. Prefer high dose, adjuvanted, or recombinant for 65 plus. If not available, take any age-appropriate alternative and don't delay. Schedule. Choose a consistent month each year and set a repeating reminder. Pneumococcal. If you've never had a modern conjugate, ask about a single-dose option that completes your protection, PCV20 or PCV21 for many people. If PCV15 is used, follow later with PPSV23 as advised. If you received older products, ask whether a new conjugate dose is indicated now or after a 5-year gap. Write down what you received and the date. Shingles, zoster. 2 doses at 0 and 2 to 6 months. Book the second date the day you get the first. Note typical short-lived side effects like arm soreness and fatigue. And plan an easy day afterward. DAP/TD. Ensure you've had 1 adult DAP, then TD or Tdap every 10 years. If you get a dirty wound and it's been 5 years or more, ask about an earlier booster. Put the next due year in big digits. RSV. 1-time dose for everyone 75 plus and for those 50 to 74 at increased risk. Decide once with your clinician, then mark it complete. COVID-19 sits just below these with a note. Seasonal update, decide with clinician, may consider additional doses at 65 plus or with certain conditions. Schedule this near flu season if you and your clinician agree, or at least revisit the topic each year. To keep the plan realistic and kind to your week, cluster where sensible. Many older adults prefer to separate shingles doses from other shots by a few days to reduce the chance of feeling wiped out. Others like a single pharmacy visit, flu and COVID together, then shingles a week later. There's no trophy for powering through side effects. Your goal is smooth, sustainable protection. If you've just had a big family event, a long trip, or you're catching up on sleep, give yourself a gentle buffer. Documentation is your quiet superpower. Create one record that lists each vaccine, product name if available, date, and place. Snap a photo of the receipt or the vaccination card and store it in a folder on your phone called Health Vaccines. Add the same data to a small paper card in your wallet in case your phone battery dies. Bring the card to clinic visits. This avoids duplicate shots, clarifies timelines, and speeds conversations. Let's talk expectations. Short-lived reactions like arm soreness, fatigue, or a low-grade fever can happen, especially with shingles or the high-dose flu shot. Plan a lighter day after your appointment. Hydrate well. Enjoy a walk if you feel up to it. Keep a simple meal ready. These reactions aren't a sign something went wrong. They're a sign that your immune system noticed and is doing its job. If you have specific medical conditions, allergies to components, or you're on therapies that change your immune response, your clinician will adapt the plan. If you're a traveler or a grand connector, someone who loves crowded concerts, cruises, airports, and big family events, vaccines help you say yes to life with more confidence. The mental benefit is real. Fewer worries humming in the background, more presence for the moment you're in. And if you're a caregiver or frequently around infants, staying current on Tdap and considering seasonal vaccines isn't only about you, it's an act of community protection. Let's anchor all this with a few short stories, completely anonymized composites that show how people turn this into action. Meet Elena, 73, a retired teacher who tutors twice a week. She'd been delaying shingles vaccination because she heard the second dose can make you tired. We plotted her calendar. First dose 2 months before exam week, where her students need her most. Second dose right after exam week, with a quiet weekend planned. She completed both doses without missing a session and was grateful she could choose the timing instead of rushing. Her reflection: when I looked at the whole year, it was easy. Then there's Marco, 78, who loves restoring bicycles. He'd lost track of his tetanus boosters and figured, I'm fine. I've been careful for 60 years. We checked his records. No adult Tdap ever. And more than 10 years since his last T. He received Tdap that day, wrote the next due year in his planner, and taped a small sticky note inside his toolbox. Tdap due 2035. Practical, visible, done. Consider Anna and Luis, married travelers in their 70s who join a cruise with grandkids each summer. Their plan is simple. Flu shot in early fall, a conversation about COVID with their pharmacist when the seasonal vaccines arrive, and RSV for Luis at 76 as a one-time addition. They keep one index card with their dates and bring it to the pharmacy, so decisions are quick and consistent. They say the card saves them 15 minutes of, I think, at every visit. Finally, Rosa, 70, a community choir singer with mild chronic lung disease. For her, RSV vaccination became part of the plan earlier because lung conditions elevate risk. She clustered flu and COVID on a Friday afternoon so she could rest Saturday and scheduled her RSV dose 2 weeks later. She kept singing rehearsals on the calendar and reported no missed performances that season. You also asked, what's probably not needed? Here's where we keep you from over-medicalizing your week. Most people over 70 do not need routine varicella vaccination. Shingles vaccination is different and already covered. MMR boosters are uncommon unless travel, outbreak, or missing records change the equation. Hepatitis A, meningococcal, Mpox, and Hib vaccines are tailored to specific risks, occupations, geographic exposure, or medical treatments. Decisions to be made when a clear reason appears, not by default. If none of those apply to you, you can let them go. Now, a word on mindset. Vaccines are not an identity or a debate. They're tools. You pick up the tools that help you live the life you want with fewer interruptions. The smart vaccine habits approach prevents two extremes: doing nothing out of confusion or doing everything out of fear. You stand in the middle, calm and informed, choosing a few high-value steps at sensible times. Before we close, here's your 10-minute action checklist you can complete today. Open your calendar and reserve one 30-minute slot in the next 2 weeks for a vaccine visit. Decide which one you'll get first. Flu prefers senior-specific versions, pneumococcal conjugate if you're due, or shingles dose 1. If you qualify and want to get it done, you can discuss RSV with your clinician as a one-time step. Create a simple vaccine log on paper or in your phone notes with 4 columns: vaccine, date, place, next due. If you can't remember your Tdap status, plan to receive 1 adult Tdap soon and start the 10-year clock. If you're planning travel or a big family event, align your timing so any mild side effects fall on quieter days. Share your plan with someone you trust, a partner, a friend, or a family member, so you have social support and an extra memory. Let's also reaffirm what side effects are common and short-lived. Arm soreness, a day or two of fatigue, sometimes a mild fever or headache. Most resolve quickly. If you have concerns about allergies or you're on medications that affect the immune system, ask your clinician to tailor the plan. This is normal and wise. If you're wondering whether it's too late to start any of this at 70 or even 85, it isn't. There's no maximum age for the shingles vaccine. Senior-specific flu vaccines are designed with you in mind. Pneumococcal conjugates are effective and simpler than in the past. And RSV offers a one-time option that can reduce severe respiratory illness for those at risk. The path is open, and you can step onto it today. Now I'll give you the promised one-sentence summary, your anchor for the weeks ahead. Choosing a small set of age-smart vaccines on a simple schedule I control protects my independence, clarity, and joy. That's the heart of it. And the hope I want to leave you with is practical, not abstract. It's never too late to reclaim vitality in the ways that matter most. Energy to walk with a friend, breath to climb a small hill, focus to read to a grandchild, confidence to say yes to invitations. A few well-timed decisions this season can preserve weeks of good days later. That exchange is worth making. As we wrap, I invite you to reflect on your next step. Is it booking a flu shot? Asking about pneumococcal conjugate and getting it crossed off for good? Starting shingles dose 1 and putting the second on your calendar? Or simply writing down what you've already had so you can stop guessing? Share your experience in the comments. Your clarity might unlock someone else's. And if this guide helped, consider subscribing so each week you get simple, science-informed steps for longevity, circulation, confidence, and intimate well-being in the years that truly belong to you. You steer the ship. I'm here to make the map readable. See you in the next episode.